Welcome to Love Dish, where each week we infuse the richness of love and relationships with the goodness of great food. My guest tonight is licensed therapist Paul Bashea Williams from Hearts and Mind Counseling, and he's going to talk about, of course, all things relationships, plus cook a really yummy dish. So come right back and we'll get started. Welcome back to Love Dish. I'm K.S. Lewis, and just like I promised my good friend, Paul Bashea. I know I'm saying it wrong. I always say your name wrong.
No, that's fine.
Paul
Bashea Williams.
Paul Bashea Williams is here, and we're going to talk about a lot of good stuff tonight. But first things first, we're in the kitchen. I know you're going to be cooking for me tonight, and I'm so excited about that. But I want to make sure that you have the proper equipment.
Okay.
So here you go.
My head might be too big.
Oh, okay. Well, we can adjust. There you go.
There we go.
All right. And I'll tie it for you, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay. And I tie it tight, so tell me if it's too tight.
Yeah, it's too tight.
Oh, how's that?
That's good.
Okay. All right, so tell us, well, you know what, first things first, because we came in and we started talking about what we're drinking.
Right.
So we have a nice little brown substance in our glasses.
A little Grand Marnier.
A little Grand Marnier. A little nice and sophisticated, because we have a sophisticated meal coming up. So let's cheers.
Right.
What are we toasting to?
To your show.
Well, of course, but what else?
Success, love, relationships.
There you go. Mmm.
That's pretty good.
Ooh, that is very good. Woo. All right. So tell me a little bit about what you've been up to lately, because it's been a while since I've seen you, and I just want our viewers to kind of know. And I'm gonna fix your thing here.
Okay. So I've been doing a lot of different things. I opened up my private practice, mental health private practice, in September of last year.
Okay.
And
Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I was working for my practice. I was working for child welfare. I was working for a hospital. So I was all over the place.
Wow.
At one time. So I was putting in about maybe 70 to 80 hours a week of work, and then being a single father on top of that. So I walked away from child welfare in February of this year.
Okay.
So I'm full-time private practice now. So I've just been building that, restructuring how I do it, the days that I work.
Okay.
I'm seeing clients. I've also been doing a lot of traveling.
Yes. Yes, because if you follow him on Instagram, you're probably just as jealous as I am, and wondering when we're going to be invited on these wonderful trips that you're going on.
Yeah. So I had a good time though. I did Greece. I did Dominican Republic. I did Canada. I did. I can't even remember.
So are you part of a travel group, or you just kind of pick a place and go?
So one of them, I have a close friend that I've known since 7th grade.
Okay.
She creates these trips every year.
Oh, nice.
So she did Greece.
Okay.
And I did the Bahamas for my birthday. I just wanted to get away. So I did that for a weekend because I had my book that's coming out.
Yes. And
we'll talk about that.
Today.
But and then Canada was for work, and DR's for a wedding.
Okay.
So yeah, just different places.
So just jet setting, traveling.
Yeah, when I can.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to cook tonight.
So it's.
I love to eat now. So okay.
It's a simple meal. It's
Fair
a simple,
warning.
quick meal. A lot of protein, and it also has some mental health benefits. Salmon is always good for anxiety. A lot of people don't know that.
Really
So it's
good.
one of those things, and it's also good. It's just a healthy meal. You know, it's clean, and then kale is quick. So this is like a quick meal that I make for myself.
And kale is a superfood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's packed full of goodness.
Right. And the thing about that is, I typically don't put salt on any of the meat that I make.
Okay.
And I substitute that with a liquid amino, which is also like a healthy soy sauce type of thing.
Right.
So, and then you put the brown sugar, and you have the nice little sweet but salty taste.
I like
and then the kale is simple: garlic, salt, and pepper, cooked on the stove.
I like it. I like it. So we're gonna have some salmon, some kale, and all of it's healthy
Yeah.
with mental health benefits.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right, so come right back on Love Dish and we're going to get started putting this healthy meal together. Welcome back to Love Dish. I'm K.S. Lewis, and just like I promised, we're about to have this, I'm just going to call it the super meal.
Okay.
Because we have all these wonderfully healthy ingredients. You're going to talk kind of about the process of how you put them together. And then I'd really love to hear about why it's your signature dish too. But first, take me through how you do the glaze.
So I start off with the liquid aminos, pour it in a bowl, of course. Just enough. Ooh,
Okay.
see, this ain't my kitchen, so my kitchen
That's
I feel
okay.
like spilled.
I'm a little, you know.
So then you put the brown sugar in.
Yes.
You want to get enough, but not too much.
Okay.
Because you don't want that to really overpower. You want to get a mix between the salt and sweet. You mix it up until it's semi-thick,
So almost glazy.
almost glazy.
Okay, so while you're stirring that, I'm going to just ask a little bit about you and about what's going on with you. So tell us why, because you have a book coming
Yes.
out, or just came out actually, and it's Dear Future Wife.
Dear Future Wife, a man's guide and a woman's reference to healthy relationships.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about what prompted that book and really the Dear Future Wife conversation, because anybody that follows you on social media knows that you engage regularly in this Dear Future Wife conversation.
Right. So initially, it stemmed from just having a love of relationships. Growing up, family has dysfunctional relationships, and you're saying that's not the relationship that I want.
Right.
So getting into relationships, I had this idea in my mind. I was going to leave my family, go to college, graduate, meet my wife, somewhere along that line, and get
and
married.
then happily ever after, right?
Did that happen? No.
Right. That rarely happens.
Right. So it was about maybe my sophomore year. I thought I found my wife. So I put all of my energy, everything that I've thought that I wanted, everything that I knew that I wanted, all the things that I read about relationships and paying attention to people and just being very sensitive and intentional in that relationship.
Right.
Put a lot of energy into it, and the relationship failed. I was devastated. And at that time I said, okay, it's no longer safe to give these things to these women. And then you're in college, nobody's really trying to take it serious.
Right, they're not being real serious in college.
But I
some
was.
are.
Right, some are.
Yeah.
Some are. I guess I just chose the wrong one. So, but the relationship, like I said, it failed. So at that point I said, okay, I need to back off and I need to be intentional in healing myself and working on myself.
Okay.
So what I did was I started to write Dear Future Wife. So that was back in 2000.
And this was in college you started to write.
In college.
Wow. Okay.
I've always been a writer, but it was just like random stuff. So like when I was younger, I was like, thought I was a rapper, so I used to write freestyles.
Oh,
and
sure,
stuff
you
like
gonna
that.
spit a couple bars tonight?
No. So, but that was my idea back then. So I was just like, all right, Dear Future Wife, whatever was going on in that particular day, if there was something that was related to a previous relationship, it was something that I saw, like anything can spark it, a song can spark it, and I'll just write. So I got to the point where I said, okay, this is my safe space where I can give these things. There's no rejection on paper.
That's true.
There's only reflection. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, I can do this better next time. Or I know what I deserve. I know what I want in a relationship. So from that point on, I went, graduated, got my master's, met my son's mother. We had a child. That didn't work out. And then I said, okay, somebody saw some of my writings, a person I was dating.
Okay.
It was like, you should make this a blog. I said, no, these are my personal,
My
private
inner thoughts.
Yeah. But I listened to her and it caught on. A lot of people were really liking what I was saying.
Right.
So, and I used to post like random like jokes on social media, like Dear Future Wife this or whatever. So I got to the point where it just became popular. And I realized that it was no longer about me, it was all about serving other people. So people can relate to what I was writing. They can apply those things to their relationships. And people were calling me and asking me, oh, what about this? Can you write about that? Can you do this? Can you do that? So that's when I was like, okay, let me just make it a book. And then people can use it and utilize it for people that are single, in relationships, divorced, married, whatever stage of relationship. There's something in there that you can apply to.
It's applicable to all.
Yes. So it's not just a read, it's also a workbook as well.
Okay. Well, I love that you actually realized that, you had a voice to relationships starting in college and begin to kind of hone in on it through your writing. Because a lot of men don't have, well, a lot of people, I won't just say men, a lot of men and women both just don't even have the wherewithal after they break up. It's like, oh, I hate you, I'm gonna cry and eat some ice cream or whatever, or go play basketball. I'm saying a lot of different things but these things happen.
Right.
And then people don't know how to bounce back, but you found a place in reflecting on your thoughts.
Right.
So that's really awesome that you could do that.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get started with this salmon though.
But no, first we're gonna cook it.
Oh, you're gonna cook the salmon first.
We're gonna cook the salmon first.
See, there I go being fast.
So I've done it that way, but sometimes it depends on the pan. Like this is a new pan, I don't know if it's gonna burn. It just depends on that.
Okay.
So I like to use it as a glaze.
All right, awesome. Well, we've got some oil here, so we are going to get the salmon in the pan, and we will be right back. Stay with us on Love Dish.
Hi everyone, I am Mr. Brian Lamont. I am a wardrobe stylist, personal shopper, and media personality. You can find me at almost every single fashion, networking, or entertainment event that you can name. Catch me on all social media platforms at Mr. Brian Lamont. Until next time, peace.
Welcome back to Love Dish. I'm K.S. Lewis with Bashea Williams. Do you go by Paul?
I go by whatever you want to call me, to be honest with you.
So I'm gonna call you my man in a minute if this food tastes right. No.
So,
I am totally joking.
So Paul is my first name. Bashea is my middle name.
Okay.
So I did the social media thing. It was Bashea Williams because I wanted to separate the clinical aspect of my life from the blogging and the book writing and all that type of stuff. But then I got to the point where clients will look me up.
Right.
And so I just put the Paul Williams up there. And then I also have other clinicians. They want to check you, make sure you're really licensed.
Right.
So if you look me up to find if I'm licensed, you won't find Bashea Williams because it's under Paul. So I just put it all together. I'm both. I'm me. Just whatever you want to call me, just call me.
I totally understand. Oh, I heard you. Just like with me, I'm K.S. Lewis. And if you find out my real name, then hey, you can call me that.
Okay.
But so I know you were about to put the salmon on the stove, actually.
Yes.
Get it moving and grooving, right? So we'll do that in a minute. But while you're about to do that, I just want to ask, because you talked a little bit about, you went to college with the thought and the aspiration almost of finding your wife.
Right.
But that didn't happen.
Right.
And so do you think, I thought it was really interesting to hear you say that, because so many times you hear about women that go to college with that mindset, and not necessarily men, but do you think that men kind of prepare for marriage in the same ways as women, and maybe they just don't express it? Like, how do you feel that whole process goes?
I think the preparation is different. I think a lot of times when they get in a particular position in their life and they find a woman that compliments or meets them, then it's like, okay, so I don't want to do what I was doing before as far as a single life, as far as the dating and the trials and tribulations and the juggling and all that type of stuff. So it's just like, okay, I'm here. I find someone I can connect with, supportive, and I can see my future with. And because everything is going good right now.
Right.
So I think that's the mindset of the man when he initially comes in. He says, okay, eventually I'll get married, when the time is right. When I got this, like my career, I know I got to be able to take care of things. I got to, I want to buy a house and all that type of stuff. So that's really the thought process. Can I provide for this one? But I think,
and do I want to provide for her?
Right, because it also depends on your experiences growing up.
Okay.
Like, what did you see in your household? Was your father the provider? Did he pay for everything? What did mom contribute? And then you start to emulate or start to think that needs to be my position in my family. But if there's dysfunction, which every family has dysfunction, it's just different levels of it. If there's dysfunction, then a man might say, I don't want to ever be like dad. I don't want to ever be like the family that I grew up in.
Do you think that men overcompensate when there are areas of dysfunction that they see and they make the decision, I don't want to be like this area, so I'm going to overcompensate in another?
Yeah, I think we all do. Mm-hmm. It just depends on what it is. If it's a financial, you come from a place where you didn't have much. So your focus is on not ever being in that position again.
I see.
So money is first, so now everything else comes secondary. If I meet somebody that can I still remain in this place of taking care of them and taking care of myself and having these things that doesn't look like my family? So then the focus is there as opposed to relationship, as a focus as partnership.
I see. Well, I want to focus on the salmon for just a couple of minutes. So, because I know it's going to take a couple of minutes to get that cooked. So why don't you just, you know what you said while we were at the break, you thought I was going to cook.
I didn't know what was happening. I'm just here, and I'm just.
So
ready.
I will at least hold the salmon for you. How about that?
Okay. Let's get this thing fired up.
I really should be sous chefing for you.
Yeah, it's all good. Let me see. It's a new stove now. I don't want no judgment.
So basically, you've already done the glaze. Just for the viewers that might just have started to tune in, you've already done the glaze of liquid amino and brown sugar.
Correct.
And if you had to put a measurement on it, I know you don't like to measure when you're cooking, but if you had to put a measurement on it.
So I measure by taste.
Okay.
So if you want it salty, then you prefer that over the sweet, you put more of the soy sauce with the liquid aminos. If not, you put more of the brown sugar.
Okay.
So it depends on what you really want. And then, there's a balance. And, you keep trying trial by error.
Right.
People like different things.
Well, just for those of you who might be a little bit anal like me, I'm going to eyeball it and say he used about maybe a fourth of a cup, maybe a little less than a fourth of a cup of the liquid amino, and probably about a fourth of brown sugar. Because the brown sugar dissolves in the liquid aminos. And then, like you said, you just kind of go off of your preference of taste from that point, right?
Right.
All right. So, tell me what to do.
Okay. So you're just going to place that in there.
Okay. And about how long do they stay?
Probably about 2 or 3 minutes. You can really gauge if the bottom is cooked by looking at the bottom. You can see that it's cooked, and then you just flip it. And people like it medium well. My son likes it well. He's not there yet. He has to graduate his palate a little bit.
Right.
But, and then you just flip it, and then you just see how well you want it cooked.
Okay. For our viewers, the stove is on about a medium heat. And so I have a gas stove here, but depending upon what kind of stove you have, just put it on medium heat. You'll know what that is based on your particular stove. A little olive oil in the bottom, just enough to coat the pan. And then cook it until
you
it's
definitely
done.
don't want to pour too much olive oil because then you get the extra popping, but you also it becomes greasy. You don't want that to happen.
Okay. So we have the salmon done. Now it's time to work on the kale, right?
Yes.
All
It's
right.
time to work on the kale.
Show me what you got.
All right. So you got your kale in your bowl.
Yes.
What you want to do is you put your seasonings on it.
Okay.
So I'll usually start with the pepper.
Okay. So we have a ground pepper, a little salt, and some garlic pepper, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I know we fancy over here. We sprinkle.
I like the way you sprinkle. Keep sprinkling.
You got it.
And see, I'm helping.
Yes. I appreciate
Finally,
that.
right?
I appreciate that.
I know you were fussing at me saying you thought you would.
I was going to send
you
you
were
an invoice.
chilling.
My chef invoice.
It's okay. Come on, send it away.
So I like garlic and garlic powder. So I usually typically use more than that than the salt and pepper.
Use as much as you like.
Okay. Okay.
Use as much as
But
you
that's
like.
a good amount, and so you just want to kind of like mix it around.
Okay.
Like I have a bowl with a top.
So you shake it.
So I shake it so everything is evenly distributed.
This gives it more of a loving touch
Right.
tonight.
There we go. But you want to make sure that a lot of the pieces a lot of the kale has the seasonings on it. So when you put it in there, you don't taste bland kale.
Right. Because although it's a superfood, you do want it to have some taste.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So what are some of the other spices that you could possibly, do you interchange any with this particular dish?
Yeah, sometimes I use, it's still garlic, but I use minced garlic.
Oh, okay. I love minced
Sometimes
garlic.
I use that, and then That's pretty much it. I mean, it's just salt and pepper. I keep it simple with the kale, with most vegetables. And I also do kale chips.
Ooh.
So the same
Tell
way.
me how to do those.
So you prepare it the same way, but you put the oven on 425. You put it in there for about maybe 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then you just wait until it's, depending on your oven, it can be gas or electric, whatever. But you can, it comes out. It's pretty good. I actually did barbecue kale chips one
Ooh.
time. They're really good.
Wow. So what kind of seasoning do you put on barbecue?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, you'll have to come back and show me. Yeah.
I'll be on a guest.
I try. So yeah, you know what? You have a forever invitation to come on the show and just share all these wonderful superfood dishes with us. So
I appreciate it.
yes. So you were talking, so you are a licensed therapist.
Yes.
You were talking a little bit a few minutes ago just about ways that men somewhat prepare for marriage, but I know that these days mental health is a big buzzword.
Right.
So what are some of the ways you feel like mental health is helping relationships, and particularly our men?
Right. So it's a place where a man can come and really express himself. Where I call it the mental health locker room or the mental health barbershop.
Oh, that's nice.
So when you're in there, you don't have to worry about judgment. You don't have to worry about it leaving the room.
Right.
Now you can talk about how that last argument or that thing that she said made you feel.
Right.
And why you went into that shell and just went into that protective mode. And it said it's not really about the relationship anymore. It's about protecting myself. So self-preservation. So mental health, when men come into the office, it might be a place where they can just cry. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I've had men come into the office.
And so many men don't know that it's okay to cry.
Right.
So yes.
And I call it a soul cleanse. I mean, you're getting that stuff, or you come in there, you're all tense. And if you really, and I always tell people just in general, sometimes when you're feeling a certain way, just do a body scan.
Okay.
Like if you're coming, you're nervous,
Tell me more.
you're tense.
What does that mean?
Like you're tense. You didn't realize that you're tense. You don't realize that maybe your hands might be clutched, your toes may be clutched, your legs, but you just do a body scan and just realize how you're feeling right now. And then
So
you
you just
notice. Yeah, just kind of
relax.
like my shoulders are up a little bit because I'm in protective mode. So
Right.
now, just let it go. And then you kind of just let your arms loose, your fingers, and you feel it. You're really supposed to start from your toes. Relax your toes, your legs.
Hold on, let me do this. All right. So I'm standing here.
Now, so you just give a little, little shake
Little
off.
shake.
And just pay attention to your toes. What are your toes feeling?
They're feeling clenched.
Okay. Let them loose.
Okay.
Now your feet. Feel the bottom of your feet.
Okay.
Just let them just drop. Just let the things in your body just drop. Your legs, loosen your legs. You start to feel your knees start to get a little weak. That means you're more relaxed.
I see.
You tense your thighs, your backside, your stomach. Because a lot of times we walk around with our stomach clenched because we're not really breathing because we want to hold in our stomachs.
Yes. We all have
So,
this image
yeah,
issue going on. Right.
So you let that go. You let this part go.
Okay.
Kind of let your head go. Kind of let your head down, and you almost get to the point where you could just drop. And you're just releasing a lot of this tension and stuff that you're feeling.
And this is something I feel like people can just do any time of the day, no matter where they are, whenever they're feeling tense or feeling like they just need like that little moment of a break from the world. Just, what did you call it? You called it something like a second ago. You called it a
body scan?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
A body scan.
Body scan.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just kind of check yourself.
Okay. All right, so a body scan it is. All right, what are we going to do to the kale? Because we've seasoned it with a little salt, a little black pepper, and a little garlic.
Right.
Tossed it a little.
So it's the same thing. So you want to coat the pan with the olive oil.
Okay.
You turn it on medium heat, and you just put it in and just let it do its thing.
Okay.
So this is my quick meal when I come home. My son and I want to have like high protein, want to have the superfood, and we're good.
I love it. I love it. Well, we are going to actually put the kale in the pan and get ready to toss it around some olive oil. So we'll be right back on Love Dish. Stay with us.
For the novelty.
Welcome back to Love Dish. I'm K.S. Lewis, and as you can see, my guest is chilling in the cut over here.
Yeah. I'm chilling.
Go on, give him your stance. Give him your stance.
Which one? You got the old school
All
one?
of them look good to me. What you doing?
What you want?
Let me see. But we have finished pretty much cooking the salmon. We have sauteed the kale, and now it's time to glaze, right?
Right, yes.
All right, so show me how to glaze the salmon.
All right, so we're already prepped the glaze.
Mm-hmm.
And the important thing about it is when you need to keep stirring it up.
Okay.
Even when you're not, glazing, because it'll get thick.
Okay.
Look at your brush.
I'm going to pull it over here so I can be of help.
Okay, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your brush, get it nice and coat it.
Nice. And really it's just simple putting it on each piece.
Right.
As much or as little as you want, right?
So if my son, he was doing it, he would dip the fish
He'd
in.
dip it in the, I'm with him.
Yeah, so, okay.
Because
yeah,
it smells so good. And I mean, I already love salmon, but then you had the brown sugar, the liquid aminos. I know it's healthy. Right. So I feel like I can have the whole bowl.
Right. No.
And not, no. Okay. He said no. All right.
It's healthier.
Okay, healthier.
Yeah, I kind of stayed away from salt. I try to stay away from salt as much as possible. So, especially like I said on meat.
Right.
I usually use liquid aminos or use other spices and stuff like that to kind of, I like the taste of it. So.
And so with this particular glaze, is there any other meat that you would, suggest that if someone maybe has an allergy and they can't have the salmon, would chicken be okay?
I've never done it with chicken. I have a different recipe for chicken.
Mm-hmm.
But I do use the liquid aminos for, it's a chili powder baked chicken. With
that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so you keep mentioning all these.
Yeah, but it's
so you're going to be just coming back and coming back. Okay.
Right, we can work it out.
You heard it right here.
Right. And I used the liquid aminos also and the brown sugar for my ham. That's requested a lot. So now you got the recipe for everybody's been requested it.
Now you have the secret.
Yeah.
That is the liquid aminos.
Right.
All right. Well, while we're telling secrets, what would you say? Because we've been talking about. Well, first you came with the body scan, which I loved. Just how you can just like take a moment from your day, stand, relax, and go back to being present.
Right.
But how, because when you're talking about marriage, and I do want to talk a little bit more about what people can expect with their future wife.
Okay.
How would you tell people in general that they should consider preparing for marriage?
Well, again, you got to go back to why your relationships failed, and not just your experience with the other person, but your experiences within yourself within that relationship.
What do you think are the biggest things that hinder singles right now when it comes to marriage, or even being in the mindset to begin the preparation for marriage?
A lot of stuff is comparison. Social media is a big hindrance. I think a lot of times we set these high expectations. I mean, it's okay to have expectations, but you also want to put in standards. I think standards, you put the baseline and you can move from there. Okay. So my standard is I will not accept this, but maybe I can adjust a little bit.
Okay.
But expectations.
Give me an example.
So if my standard is that someone has to be able to communicate in a way that we can understand. Like, I don't deal with manipulation. So I think a lot of people don't even realize they're being manipulative.
Okay.
Now, I know that's somewhat the way of life for people. You say certain things to get certain things.
Okay.
But me being a mental health therapist, like I can
weed through that.
Yeah. But it's also important to not compare yourself to relationships that you see online. Like a lot of times people compare themselves to the pictures or the photos and to the trips and stuff like that, and didn't know that they argued for an hour and a half before they took that picture.
That's very true.
Or they just took the picture and now they're going their separate ways. So I think we got to put a lot of work into ourselves before we enter into relationships, and also give relationship grace. I talk about relationship grace because
I like that.
As you're getting older, you have maybe 25, 30, 40 years of experiences by yourself.
Right.
You're meeting someone who has 20, 30, 40 years of experience in themselves.
By themselves, right.
So now you're meeting together, you're expecting somebody to get you, but they never met you. And then relationships don't just tell you about the other person, but they also tell you about yourself.
So true.
So
true.
It's a lot of different things. Like, I don't have a cookie cutter answer, but it's a lot of different things when people meet each other that really have to say, okay, I'm meeting you, I'm willing to share myself with you. So I'm willing to share my vulnerabilities, and if I give them to you, what will you do with them?
Okay.
Will you take them and use them as weapons?
Right.
Do you take my pain and to posture yourself? So it's different things that we really need to pay attention to when we're meeting and talking with people.
I like that. I like that you're saying, how do you consider my pain?
Right.
Consider it as a weapon or a trigger or what? So,
Right.
and that's really important because I think a lot of people deal with being triggered, and then the lack of communication to talk through it
Right.
kind of puts them at a wedge with their
Right.
partner.
Right.
So I can really, really appreciate that. What would you say to someone who in their mind believes they're marriage material, but they're still single, and they're trying to figure out,
Well, ask them, what is
I'm getting
marriage material?
overlooked, I'm this, I'm that, like that. But there's like this whole, you mentioned the cookie cut, you don't want to give a cookie cutter
Right.
answer, but I think that a lot of times people either grow up or their just environment kind of gives them this cookie cutter mindset when it comes to marriage. And so for someone who is going through the motions and they're single, but in their mind they're like, why am I being looked over? I'm marriage material, I'm wifey, or I'm this, or I'm that. What would you say to that person?
They may well be wifey, hubby, or whatever. They may well be that, but they just have to meet the person that's willing to meet them where they're at.
Okay.
So if you're going and saying, I'm wifey material, I need to be a wife, and you just met me. I
First
don't
of
know
all, I'm gonna run, right?
Right. I don't know.
If I was-
you might be, but give me a chance to get to know you.
Right.
To see if I can be in that position to be your husband. So we put these, again, you put these standards. And I think a lot of times we're afraid to have serious conversations early because we want to.
How early do you think is safe? Because I tell people a lot, like, don't tell everything on the first date.
Right, of course.
But also give space. Like, don't guard yourself so much
Right.
that you can't open the door for more communication
Right.
and for the opportunity to
Right.
share.
I think sometimes we set ourselves up with planning. So
Okay.
the first date, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm going to make sure he knows this. I'm going to make sure she knows this. But that might not be in the context of the conversation. So there's some people like, say like if somebody's celibate or abstinent. I just want you to know, hello, but I'm abstinent.
Right.
They might not even be thinking about sex. So why are we having that conversation? Because you just want to put it out there. You just want to let them know. And now it's like, so you putting me in that position to say that that's what I want from you. No. But I think us having a conversation.
So
like
what
that,
should they say though, if anything at all?
Natural in regards to
When it comes to the time for them to say, hey,
well, when you start
I'm celibate or I'm abstinent or whatever.
when it comes up. Like when it comes up, so if we're having a conversation, they start talking about sex, and it's like, okay, are you asking me? And it's like, well, I know the conversation is starting to shift towards that. I just want to give you a heads up. I'm not in that realm of just, hey, let's hook up.
Right.
Let's develop a relationship. See how it goes. But again, coming off like the first date, hey, you're not getting any. I didn't ask for any. So they might be in the same position as you. You never
True.
know. But it's all about communication. And I think with the flow of communication and not setting, this is what needs to happen on the first date. This is what we need to talk about on the first date. A natural conversation. And we just flow. We get to know each other.
An organic conversation and just letting things happen as
Yeah.
they do. I like that. So I'm ready to eat, right? Okay. Let's just take people back through the recipe really quickly
Okay.
for one more time before we actually eat it.
Okay. So
I'm being impatient. I'm
All
ready
right.
to eat.
So the salmon, so you can do it two ways. The
Yeah.
salmon, you can glaze it before you put it in the pan. It depends on what type of pan it is. It might be more popping. It might be whatever your pan is. But typically, I put the brown sugar and the liquid amino together, mix it up.
Which is a nice soy sauce substitute.
Right.
Healthier.
Yes. And you can taste it to see if you want it to be more salty or more sweet. So it's up to you. So you cook the salmon, bring it out, plate it, put the glaze on it. There you go. That's the salmon. Now, the kale, you wash it, put it in a bowl. You get your salt, pepper, and your garlic powder. Nice. Put enough on there so you have an actual taste because, kale will overpower your palate. So then everything is cooked in olive oil. So you put,
Which is also healthy.
right. So olive oil, maybe it takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes with the kale, depending on how you want it. You can also throw it in the oven. You can do
That's
that
nice.
while you're cooking the salmon, and it'll be the same way. Or you can leave it in a little bit longer. You can have kale chips.
Oh. And so if they put it in the oven at what temperature?
About 420, 425.
Okay, so 400, 425 in the oven if that's what you opt to do. For how long?
For about 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, and while the salmon is cooking on top of the stove, the kale can be cooking in the oven. So really your dinner takes 15, 20 minutes at the most to cook. And it's ready at the same time. You can sit down and it's done. Boom. In the meantime, we're about to crush this because it's done. Boom. Right? So we will be right back on Love Dish and we'll be digging in by then. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Love Dish. I'm K.S. Lewis, and as you can see, we have the final plated meal. I know you were expecting me to do like some major, beautiful presentation of the food.
Yeah, I was hoping to learn how to plate because, this is how my plates look.
This is what we got tonight.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're keeping it simple. It's a simple dish. With simple ingredients that are all good for us, and so the presentation, I felt like, you don't buy that.
No, I get it. I mean, I was actually going to kind of play on that a little bit. We talk about love and how people present themselves well, but internally they might be struggling. Oh. Not saying that this is struggling.
But this dish is not struggling.
But this is good. It's healthy. We're here. This is vulnerability.
Right.
This is out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Total vulnerability. But thank you so much for coming on tonight and for just walking us through this process, talking to us about how to prep for marriage. Tell us about how we can keep up with you and how we can order your book.
Okay, well, you can follow me on BasheaWilliams.com. That's my blog. And you can follow me on Facebook. Everything is Bashea Williams. Instagram is Bashea Williams. My private practice is heartsandmindcounseling.com. I have a YouTube. I haven't done any videos in a long time, but I'm going to get back to it. So YouTube is Bashea Williams as well. So you can pick my book up at BasheaWilliams.com.
And I can't wait to get a copy.
Yes.
So the next time you come by,
I will have your copy.
And I will cook for you.
Okay,
how's that?
perfect.
And then I'll also show you how to plate.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Deal.
We'll do a complicated dish.
Okay.
Since this one was simple.
Okay.
We'll do a complicated dish. I'll do a complicated plating technique.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not doing that. But we will eat another good meal and we'll have a good time. So I have one last question that I ask all my guests. And so I need to know, what is your greatest hope for love?
That's a good question. I think the greatest hope for love, if I were to answer that, is that we find it within ourselves. Because if we don't know how to love ourselves, how can we love someone else? And if we don't know how to love ourselves, how can we receive love from other people?
I like that.
So that's the greatest hope, that we find love within ourselves.
And that we learn how to receive it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you joining me tonight and showing me this wonderful dish. I can't wait to eat it. If you would like to cook this dish, check the comments out below. Let me know what you think of it, and also hit the subscribe button so you can stay with us. We'll see you next week, but in the meantime, let's eat.
All right.
This is really good. Really good.
Let's bring together